Commissioner Fule, thank you for granting us this interview. I've been long waiting for this opportunity. And I wanted to start with the meeting, the event you had today. Why did you choose to speak to civil society, to academics, to media, to citizens directly, to get them more involved into the process, or why? What was the purpose?
First of all, it's not a shift in our policy. I mean, we always claim that as far as the European perspective, it's not only up to the government, but up to many other stakeholders to participate in this process, to own this process. And the civil society is one of those important stakeholders, number one. Number two, at this particular moment of the year, it seems to me that the politicians are more and more sort of focused on the elections, which is coming, and their willingness to move the European agenda forward is of corresponding value or level. So that explains why we have decided to continue in that dialogue with the stakeholders, to continue this time dialogue focusing on the civil society, and hopefully through the media also as many Albanian citizens as possible.
But it was commented, especially in the media, in the press, the fact that you are not meeting this time either the Prime Minister Berisha or the leader of the opposition Rama.
I met both of them last time when I was here, and they seemed to me already at that time sort of focused very much on the forthcoming elections. This time I met the Minister for Integration and the chairman of the respective integration committee of Parliament.
It was another observation from the event today that no one from the Democratic Party was present. Do you know what happened?
Oh, you have to ask them, not me.
But they were invited?
They were absolutely invited, yes.
Do you regret the fact that they weren't in the event?
Of course I do. I thought that the issue we have raised and the way we raised them where everyone sort of could find its own way to contribute to this debate and follow up with this debate.
Commissioner, why it is in the Albania's interest to be part of the EU? Can you please explain it simply to the audience, to my audience, to the Albanian people?
No, no, no. I can give you the European Union side, okay? But I think on this particular issue, it is up to the Albanian politicians, you know, first of all, to explain this. The European politicians already a long time ago made one clear conclusion, that to turn the Western Balkans into a zone of peace and stability, and also at the same time to offer a prosperity, the only way how to do it is through the offering them membership in the European Union. Albanians themselves are very keen to become the European Union member states. I've seen a number of the public opinion polls. Actually, Albania is one of the probably most enthusiastic country to join the European Union. I only wish that it sort of shows also on the accountability of the authorities and all the political stakeholders on delivering on that expectation.
You said earlier that it seems it's strange to you, you don't understand why there is a sort of wall between the wish and the will of Albanian people to become part of EU and the politicians who in a way are not helping to break down this wall. Can you help? Can you mediate between these two parties?
I don't know whether mediate is the right word, and in a way, through our daily interaction with authorities, we kind of mediate. If you look at the 12 key priorities, if you look at the list of the minimum requirement we have drawn together with the government and opposition, which is needed for the Commission to propose the granting of the candidate status to Albania, that's a joint work. Unfortunately, it has not been able, I mean, we have not been able to deliver on the full expectations here. And it's pity to see so many dozens of other laws and initiatives to be adopted. And now, whenever you come here, you hear about the three issues, politicians on the barricades, you know, and no one ready to compromise. And as I sort of see the pressure from the forthcoming elections increasing, I would see probably even less and less space for compromise. It's a pity.
It's true. Actually, you have mentioned the culture of compromise and inclusion that is missing among our politicians even before. But I wanted to ask you, have you ever thought, do you think there is something wrong with our culture of compromise? Why we don't have it developed or elaborated?
Word compromise is not a bad word. Yeah, that actually, this is the way how the European project could carry on the interest of all 27, soon 28 member states. So maybe more work is needed for the politicians to understand that the compromise is not sort of how to stop, how not to deliver on your ambition, but actually how to deliver in a different way, more inclusive way.
There is some frustration among Albanian people. Some Albanians think that by not opening the door to Albania, by not opening, I mean Brussels, when it doesn't open the door to Albania, it's not only penalizing the politicians, but it's also penalizing the people of Albania that feel tired of this never-ending process of EU integration. Also, the feeling is that you deal with highly accused, corrupted politicians, and in a way they are held responsible for taking our country hostage of this big dream.
No, wait. The door is open, okay?
Yes, but the frustration is there as well.
Wait. The door is open and the invitation to pass through that door is there, okay? What is not there is Albania delivering on the number of the requirement. And I'm sorry, the enlargement is both the political and also some kind of technocratic project. It's actually a good balance between the politicians steering it, but at the same time the country delivering. Each and every candidate or aspirant country is judged based on its merit, okay? The invitation was there. The commitment to Albania is there. I mean, visa-free regimes. By the way, the ability of the politicians here to agree on the issues which are needed to create the condition for visa-free regime and implementing, there is this ability. It's not that they do not know how to do it. There must be something else.
So are you questioning if they want it or not?
I'm just saying there must be something else, and it's up to the politicians and the citizens of Albania, you know, looking for the answers.
To find out what it is. Yes. Elections seems like a big deal. There is strong international focus on the conduction of the elections of the 23rd of June. How important are they for the EU integration of Albania?
Very important. I mean, the member states, it was not even Commission. Member states said it quite clearly in December, that the way they are being conducted is very clearly linked with the further integration steps of Albania. Each and every elections are important. But in the case of Albania, we all remember 2009 and what has happened afterwards. I hope everybody is working hard. I can say on side of the international community, we do work very hard to avoid the repetition what we have faced as a follow-up to 2009 election.
And because of the problems you mentioned, 2009 and other elections, we seem to have a problem to conduct free and fair elections. Do you think that has created an image problem for Albania among the EU countries? What is their mood?
I think it's probably too soon to sort of talk about some kind of image, but I think if you look at the member states, how they specifically address this issue in relations to Albania, yeah, there is a lot of expectations linked with the forthcoming elections. And I hope the Albanian politicians and everybody involved in preparing the elections would send a very clear message, first of all to the Albanian citizens, but also to the international community.
we
can deliver on the free and fair elections.
It does seem like impossible for the Balkan countries to have perfect elections, but let's hope for the best. How far would you go to accept any possible irregularities?
Listen, countries or member states already and still sort of try to deliver each and every time on a better and better election. So this is not a tragedy in itself. It's a trend. It's a commitment trend, and you being able to deliver on it. It would very much depend on the OSCE and ODIHR mission. We all support.
You will monitor as well?
We will have, of course, our people as a part of the OSCE ODIHR mission. We will play our role. We're playing our role already in preparing for the elections. We'll be waiting, as many Albanians, for the preliminary judgment of the OSCE ODIHR mission, and then in a couple of months for the final one. And we will, as always, together with the High Representative and Vice President of the Commission, before we say anything, we will first of all would like to see the OSCE ODIHR assessment.
And there is also a perception in place already that the election outcome will be contested. And there are some analysts or some members of the majority, the ruling majority, that are saying that the opposition is creating the ground to contest the result if it's not the one that they will like. And also there is a perception that the international community may be used in this attempt to contest the election. Are you aware of such attempts?
I'm hearing the speculation here and there, and the rule number one is not to comment on the speculation because you turn the speculation into sort of the theory and alternatives. Now, I think the goal of the international community, but I also hope the shared goal of the Albanian politicians is to make everything possible that there is as minimum space as possible for anyone to contest the result of the elections.
Commissioner, do you think the European Commission has always had the right approach with the political crisis in Albania? I mean, I'm going to give you just an example, maybe the boycott of the parliament by the opposition in 2009. Do you think when you ever go into your policies and you revise them, do you think you should have been harsher and more direct into stopping that boycott?
To tell the truth, I'm one of those politicians who's asking these questions very regularly. And I'm one of those who's saying we need to sort of learn on our own mistake. We should not be afraid to look in the mirror and asking ourselves whether we have done everything. But we will never be able to do everything if we do not have a willing partner on the other side. And I can only add that if that partner or partners, because it covers all the stakeholders, if they would advise us, you know, if you follow this or that route, it would be more effective. But would I reflect on that? I will. My hand on it, because we care about Albania. We care about the citizens of Albania.
Are you expecting any new political crisis after the election?
I don't.
Do you have a plan B, C, D, etc.?
No, what kind of plan B you would like, I mean, to pursue if your plan A is a free and fair elections? And I know how it is in a certain part of Europe. Whenever you announce a plan B, everybody is focusing on a plan B and, you know, forgetting a plan A.
I get the point. I get the point.
Is free and fair elections.
Even if you have it, you won't say it to me.
Let's deliver on the free and fair elections.
Indeed. After the recommendation that you did for granting Albania the candidate status, what we did actually was what we know. The 3 laws were not approved, and you didn't do a new report. Are you disappointed that Albanian politicians did not take advantage of that recommendation? And are you disappointed that Albanian politicians cannot deliver such easy requirements?
I am disappointed. I am. Because sometimes I have a feeling now that it has been always and only about these 3 issues. No. This list of minimum requirements has been actually very long. and the government and opposition delivered on most of it. I mean, 95%, if not even more. So there has been a lot of good work. There has been a moment when both the majority and minority put the interest of the country above their sort of political interest. The only thing I don't understand, why not on those three issues? Why so close, you know, to the finish line? You know, we had some kind of strange linkages which complicated this issue to the current state.
Even though you made it clear that the referendum for the approval of the three laws was not necessary and won't help the culture of compromise and inclusiveness that the process wants, the majority went ahead and approved it in the parliament. What is your comment to this regard?
My comment is, you know, the enlargement is about learning the European way. And the European way is not only about the result, it's also about method. So if anyone here thinks that we will all be impressed if those three laws are being delivered by referendum, avoiding the consensus, avoiding the efforts to find a compromise, no, we will not.
Commissioner, what do you think is the price of the delay of Albania's process into integration in the last 4 years?
I think the price, you could look at it regionally. When the countries in the region sort of moving forward, Croatia is going to become a 28 member states. We have started accession negotiation with Montenegro, making a good progress in a Belgrade-Pristina talks. The things are moving in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, despite the crisis of and follow-up 24th of December. The high-level accession dialogue is bringing the concrete results, and we have never been that close to propose or delivering on opening of accession negotiations. So this is one thing. The second implication is that at the time of this economic and financial crisis, we are much more stronger if we face the challenges of jobs, growth, and competitiveness together, rather than each of us on its own, and sometimes at the expense of others. The sooner Albania could be on track, the sooner we open the accession negotiation, the sooner we could deliver on the rule of law, on the independence of the justice, on the better business environment, investment. Economy is a big problem and big challenge in Albania. I want the clear signal as far as the European integration agenda to bring more investors and not to see the investors actually leaving Albania. That's unfortunately the reality.
Are you talking about Czech's case, the Czech?
I'm talking about a number of the companies.
A number of companies, and this is a concern in Brussels.
Of course it is a concern. I mean, when you see the investors who planned some long-term investment and them leaving and complaining about the rule of law or rather lack of the rule of law, of course it is a lack of the concern. But first of all, it must be a lack of concern for the Albanians themselves.
Indeed. And talking about economy, how has the current economic crisis in the EU countries impacted the enlargement process? What is called enlargement fatigue, but there is crisis as well, economic crisis in the candidate countries as well, and they have what is called the reform fatigue. How is this influencing the process, the enlargement? Actually,
it does not. That's interesting.
That's political. That's interesting. Politically answered.
No, that's not a politically correct answer. This is the reality. Show me one example where the member states have not delivered on their commitments to enlargement. You will not find any such things. Okay, the economic crisis is making the European Union, going deeper in the European integration vis-à-vis the enlargement countries. It doesn't mean that we are abandoning the enlargement countries. But on the contrary, we would like to involve them even more in those current processes of forming economic union, banking union, and eventually also political union. So those are just big excuses, when you refer to the enlargement fatigue or reform fatigue. What I see, and where I see really a big problem is that in some of our partners, you see the domestic agenda overshadowing the European agenda. And I hope that it's not just a reflection that maybe the European Union is not that attractive anymore. I hope this is not the case.
You asked me for examples, actually, where EU has shown its fatigue, but there are some Eurocrats or analysts in Brussels that say that the honeymoon of enlargement is over after Croatia got accepted as a member. It will need another 10 years to accept a new member. Is it true?
With all due respect, those analysts and technocrats are not running enlargement. Enlargement is a political process. It's run by politicians. It has a strong political steer. And you will not find one single case where the politicians have failed to deliver on their commitments to enlargement.
Commissioner, do you think that the economic challenges that Albania will be facing in the coming months will affect the process of integration?
I hope not, because we will face them together. Already now we're helping a lot to Albanian economy. SMEs strengthen the rule of law, that the business community feels more comfortable here in Albania. So I guess that both of us, the Albanians and the European Union, could only benefit if we intensify the enlargement process.
But there is a slowing down of the enlargement process, or you won't accept that?
Where is the slowing down of the enlargement process? Show it to me. Croatia is becoming 28 member states.
Well, I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you how. No, I'm going to give you some examples.
Negotiations with Montenegro. Okay, the member states have provided in December a very concrete roadmap for Serbia, for Kosovo also, for former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. There are clear conditions for credible applications as far as the Bosnia and Herzegovina. Show it to me.
Yes, but you have also been more creative and proposing some tailored forms of dialogue with the countries that you mentioned earlier. Let's say with Bosnia is the structured dialogue and on justice. With Kosovo is the structured dialogue on the rule of law, or the high level of accession with Macedonia. What will be the Albania's case? What will you propose?
But this is not to substitute for the lack of the commitment on the EU. This is rather to substitute the lack of the determination on the side of our partners, because these new creative arrangements, the goal is, to help them focus on the real priorities related to the EU agenda. And as far as Albania is concerned, I think we are serious to have this kind of very intensive, regular engagement at the high and also working level. And as far as how we're going to call it, I'm looking forward for the ideas from the Albanian politicians, because I want they feel the ownership of that process.
In mid-April, the Commission will publish a report that will be discussed by the Member States in June. What will be the report on Albania?
I'm not sure we're going to have a report on Albania.
What does that mean?
It means that if there is a progress, if there is something to report, I will be the first one, pushing for this report.
So no report means no progress?
Yeah, but what kind of report? I mean, would you like me to sort of provide the report in which I say, I'm sorry, but compared to October, when we issued our progress report, there has been actually no progress. That's not serious. I am committed and determined to put forward a substantive, positive report if I have a strong basis on which, I could put it. I don't have it. Has
this ever happened before with any of the other Balkan countries that you didn't report?
But if you look at the wording of the member states, they of course want us to report when there is something to report on. So, and each and every case is special. So let me not sort of compare uncomparable here.
Albania has a strong influence, and you mentioned earlier in the speech as well, over the Albanians in the neighboring countries. Has this influence been instrumentalized by Albanian politicians to bargain with Brussels?
No, I have never felt it, and actually, with the exception of the last year progress report, we have always praised the role of Albania in the regional cooperation. Albania has been a source of stability in the region and very much appreciated. It was only at the end of last year where the member states made a comment that the nationalistic rhetoric we hear sometimes from Tirana is not helpful as far as the image of the country.
Talking about the image, nationalism is currently threatening some of the EU countries, some of the founders of the EU, Spain, Greece, Italy, Belgium, etc. So why are you so opposing against the Albanian nationalistic that the Prime Minister is saying that is healthy and is not damaging and is not threatening anyone in the region?
No, I'm sorry. Nationalism is not healthy, and it should be fought whether within the member states or candidate countries or aspirant countries. We should not mess the nationalism with patriotism. We should not mess the nationalism with the interest we all share, that the minorities in other countries should be sort of well taken care of, and their interest should be secured. Absolutely.
What are the threats you envision if Albania continues with its nationalistic rhetoric?
I hope it will not continue in the way we have heard sometimes ago. I hope, and I try to read sort of behind a number of those statements, a real and sincere interest, making sure that the Albanians are taken care of, whether they're living in Albania or in any of the Western Balkan countries. I only hope that we will try to avoid the nationalist rhetoric, which is making a number of the countries, and not only in this region, but also in the European Union, rather uncomfortable.
Your last tweet about Albanians being creative when it comes to nationalism, what was it? Were you being a bit ironic or just in a good mood? Talking about Albania is being creative. He's saying that Albania's nationalism is based on Euro-Atlantic values.
I think
it sounded a bit ironic.
I think that tweet speaks for itself and it does not need any kind of follow-up comments.
Okay, if you don't want to comment on that. But I want you to comment on another perception that we have here in Albania, and it's about Macedonia, our neighboring country. Do you honestly believe that Macedonia has only a problem with the name, or there are more threats, or the biggest threat from Macedonia appears to be the poisoned inter-ethnic relationship?
It has never been only about the name. It has been about a number of the issues. If you look at the high-level accession dialogue, it actually focused on a number of those issues. What I was always saying, that while Ohrid process should be strengthened to help to strengthen and not to weaken this inter-ethnic relationship in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. At the same time, I sided with those who were saying that if the solution to the name issue is not found, it will have not a positive impact on this inter-ethnic relationship. So I have been encouraged to see Skopje, making a number of positive steps together with Sofia. I appreciated the Bulgarian politicians the former Bulgarian politicians for the courage there. I appreciate Mr. Nimitz's efforts, who, in the framework of the UN-led process, has intensified the search for the name issue.
Do you think that Albania is able to join the club of potential members as Macedonia, Montenegro and Serbia anytime soon, or will be left with Bosnia?
Of course I do believe. I mean, if I would not be here again, already a second time this year, and I would not be a frequent guest here. And even if you look at my tweets, I mean, you might not appreciate all of them, but they are, again, I mean, the expression of the interest in Albania. So, I mean, from the side of the Commission, from my own personal, it's only about continuing commitment.
How would you answer to those critics who say that the Commission's behavior towards Serbian, for instance, or Serbs was much softer than it was with Albania? And do you have any friendship with Serbs that is more particular than with Albanians? Because there are rumors here that you are in biggest terms in terms of friendship with them than with us.
And with whom concretely?
With Serbs, in general, with the politicians there.
No. It is nonsense. I'm looking for friends elsewhere, and anyone who would be ready, based on the European Union values and principle, to promote the European perspective of the country is an excellent candidate for me, being a very good friend of myself. And again, I'm sorry. Sometimes, you know, we try to compare the things, but we have to admit sometimes that we are comparing uncomparable. Serbia and Kosovo. It is a very delicate and difficult issue, okay? And each and every other partner country is facing, you know, some specific situation. And I think that our engagement and our policies are being leveled to the amount of the challenge we face here or there.
What is the perception of EU regarding the quality of the leaders that are generated in the West of Balkans in the last years?
As committed people who are trying to deliver on the new and European future for their people, and I don't have any reasons why sort of to make difference between Central European leaders and Western Balkan leaders, or any other sort of kind of leaders. What matters is accountability of those leaders. What matters is how democratic the framework is they operate, and to what extent the elections are free and fair. Those things matter.
Is there any correlation between Albanians being a dominant Muslim country and the fact that it's left with Bosnia regarding in the integration process, especially considering the fact that Turkey, another Muslim country, has been left behind in the EU agenda?
It has nothing to do with that. And the only fact that Turkey, we have not been able to open that many new chapters is that number of those chapters are being blocked either by the European Union as a bloc or by some member states unilaterally. But it has nothing to do whether the country is, as you put it, predominantly Muslim or not.
Fight against corruption in Albania. You wanted to see some tangible results back in October. Have you seen them? But
again, I hope it's not only me who wants to see some results. I hope it's, first of all, Albanians want to see some results, yeah? Number one. And number two, if we have seen sort of the full scale, I mean, the track record on all the phases of fight against corruption, no, we have not. But it's not easy. I mean, you cannot deliver on this track record over the one day, 1 week or 1 month, but to see that the people who are accused are investigated, put in the court, sentenced, and if the sentence being upheld, then also they go to the prison. You know, that's the track record we're talking about.
The justice system and the rule of law in Albania, do you think is it doing enough to improve itself? And a follow-up question about this: how influential do you think are politicians, businesses, or criminal groups into the justice decision-making?
That's an issue for another sort of interview for 15 minutes. If I come back to your first question about the rule of law and the judiciary, there is a progress, but too slow for us to recommend Albania to start the accession negotiations. No surprise, it's among the 15 key recommendations. No surprise, even after the last progress report, it's being left as one of those priorities Albania should focus. And on the role of the criminals here, I would not speculate here. I think the Albanians people themselves feel that politicians will have to make an extra effort that the Albanians themselves feel whenever they approach court or judiciary system, that they expect nothing but a fair, impartial and professional treatment.
What will change in justice systems once Albania will be closer to the EU? Just to explain to Albanian citizens, what will change in the justice system?
I think exactly what I just said. The justice system will be impartial, will be professional. And people, whenever they had a problem, they would not think whether to go to the court or not, whether they would have to bribe someone to get the justice. Because Albania will be delivering on the value-based judiciary, which would make all the Albanians comfortable that anything bad is happening to them. They have a powerful judiciary system, which will be always on their side and protecting them.
Thank you, Commissioner Fule. Thank you for this interview.
You're welcome.